Radiation, the progenitor of mutant animals, telekinetic powers, and Cronenbergs. Maybe. The sun generates radiation we are careful to avoid, and man produces radiation with claims it will only serve the greater good. Microwaves radiate our food. Cell phones and X-rays radiate our bodies. Radiation can be taken through an IV for treatment. We are surrounded by it. But what do we actually know about radiation? I was fascinated to learn that radiation is a way in which energy moves from point A to point B. If we look at the electromagnetic scale, ionizing radiation falls into the higher frequency range. The shorter the wavelength, the deeper it penetrates into matter. This form of radiation ionizes, or carries enough energy to free electrons from atoms or molecules, breaking chemical bonds, which is harmful to living organisms. As a side note, our ionosphere, just above the mesosphere, is ionized by solar radiation. It would seem a dangerous place to pass through, wouldn't it? The longer the wavelength, the non-ionizing radiation heats up particles and is less harmful to living organisms unless they are injured by a burn from it. Sound, water, light, and heat waves are all a form of radiation. The radiation can also produce particle streams. Atoms have a positively charged nucleus, surrounded by negatively charged electrons. When an atom is struck by a projectile, it gets excited, releasing energy in one of two ways. The first way is the release of electrons, which produces X-rays. The second, when particles strike the nuclei and cause it to spew out radiation that includes gamma rays and other particles. The atom bomb works by striking the nuclei of uranium or plutonium with electrons, which causes it to split in two parts, emitting a large burst of energy, giving it an explosive power. It's the same way nuclear power plants provide energy. All good and fascinating, but what am I working toward? Simply put, Wi-Fi. If you've ever wondered, like I have, what it is about our cell phones that causes cancer, it is the wireless technology. Now, the EPA claims that our wireless technology is non-ionizing, which means it produces heat instead of breaking apart chemical bonds, and that it doesn't operate at a high enough frequency to harm us. That doesn't sound too bad, right? RF energy decreases quickly over distance. At ground level, exposure to RF from sources like cell phone towers is usually very low. Some people are concerned about potential health effects, especially on the developing brains and bodies of children. Some studies suggest that heavy long-term use of cell phones could have health effects. What is frightening is that these waves are everywhere. What is to stop someone from amping up the frequency or strength?
5G will use much higher frequency bands than previously thought viable for mobile broadband and other applications. Such millimeter wave signals have physical properties that are both a limitation and a strength. But brilliant engineers have developed new antennas that can aim and amplify signals. Now, to make this work, the 5G build-out is going to be very infrastructure intensive, requiring massive deployment of small cells. Unlike some countries, we do not believe that we should spend the next couple of years studying what 5G should be or how it should operate. Turning innovators loose is far preferable to expecting committees and regulators to define the future. We won't wait for the standards.
Everyone knows the government agencies are corrupt. It's common sense. It's clear that the system is broken and they're all crossing the line. Homeland Security, IRS, the USDA, the Treasury, the EPA, all of it BS. But rarely is it so blatant as it is with the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, because, well, very, very few people pay attention at all to them. Hardly any resistance was put up against net neutrality rules, and that was a fairly big media story. Almost no one said anything about the mergers between the giant telecoms and the general complete takeover of communications. There really wasn't any resistance to the 1996 Telecommunications Act, which opened up a whole can of worms, a whole set of Pandora's boxes with the NSA and everyone else. But now they've opened up the floodgates to massive corporate control over our lives, a total surveillance system on the part of government agencies and their contractors, and the very near blanketing of the entire population.
Literally, of everyone,
in the world. The 5G revolution will touch all corners of our country.
Tom Wheeler was formerly president of the National Cable and Telecommunications Association and the CEO of the Cellular, Telecom, and Internet Association.
Chairman Wheeler put the entire fixed and mobile broadband industry under a stricter regulatory regime. He has done so many things that have angered his former employers at the NCTA and CTIA have sued the FCC during his tenure. He explains his actions by saying, "I used to be an advocate for corporate interests, and I hope I was a good one. But today, my client is the American people, and I want to be the best damn advocate for the American people that I can be."
So he represents the industry, he got appointed to the position, and he just fox and henhouse the whole thing. He just prostituted it all. So it's no wonder that he gives a no-holds-barred, full-force push to usher in 5G everywhere upon everyone, to swiftly and fully silence any and all dissenters, to ignore all the real questions, and to make sure that the safety data, to make sure that safety studies don't even happen.
Unlike some countries, we do not believe that we should spend the next couple of years studying what 5G should be or how it should operate. We won't wait for the standards. Turning innovators loose is far preferable to expecting committees and regulators to define the future.
And to make sure that questions about the biological effects of non-ionizing radiation are kept to an absolute minimum, off the table, out of the public eye, and nowhere near the FCC conversation.
How many people have to die from brain cancer before the federal government puts warning labels on cell phones?
It's time to tell the American public the truth. Wireless causes cancer and killing hundreds, and you don't care. You don't give a damn.
Because they're going to rubber stamp this thing right through, no doubt about it. They already have. And what else would you expect from a lobbyist? The trade-off gives total power to these companies, to various government agencies, and to anyone in between who's interested in spying, hackers. It opens it up for everyone. And as technology races forward in what is already a world dominated by cell phones and people looking lost into little screens, it will now be completely saturated with high-speed connections.
The next generation of wireless must be mobile fiber, 10 to 100 times faster than what we're used to today. We need to speed the deployment of 5G here on our shores. Yes, 5G will connect the Internet of everything. If something can be connected, it will be connected in a 5G world. Of hundreds of billions of microchips connected in products from pill bottles to plant waterers.
Every single device and appliance in manufacture is being fitted with a two-way communication device, and it sends data back. Spying and surveillance is completely built in. It's a total default, and it's the given. Location tracking, health data, audio and visual recordings, text, and everything else is going to be continually collected. And Tom Wheeler of the FCC freely admits it. He thinks it's great because it's going to make everything faster, and it's going to make more money.
We take our most significant step yet down the path to our 5G future.
Others have covered it as well, but this is an issue that is not well known enough. 5G is a huge upgrade to the system. It is a complete overhaul compared with 3G and 4G. It's not only dramatically faster speeds, which is what they're going to play up to sell it to consumers and tell everyone what a great convenience and advancement that it is, but it is also a literal complete infrastructure overhaul,
requiring massive deployment of small cells.
Smartphone and other electronic devices in your home use very specific frequencies on the radio frequency spectrum, typically those under 6 gigahertz. But these frequencies are starting to get more crowded. Carriers can only squeeze so many bits of data on the same amount of radio frequency spectrum. As more devices come online, we're going to start to see slower service and more dropped connections. The solution is to open up some new real estate. So researchers are experimenting with broadcasting on shorter millimeter waves, those that fall between 30 and 300 gigahertz. This section of spectrum has never been used before for mobile devices, and opening it up means more bandwidth for everyone. But there is a catch. Millimeter waves can't travel well through buildings or other obstacles, and they tend to be absorbed by plants and rain. To get around this problem, we'll need technology number 2, small cell networks. Today's wireless networks rely on large, high-powered cell towers to broadcast their signals over long distances. But remember, higher frequency millimeter waves have a harder time traveling through obstacles, which means if you move behind one, you lose your signal. Small cell networks would solve that problem, using thousands of low-power mini base stations. These base stations would be much closer together than traditional towers, forming a sort of relay team to transmit signals around obstacles.
Going to put up boxes on telephone poles, or at least that's what the articles have said, and they're going to be on ground level sites and everywhere else, and it will completely replace the now obsolete cell towers that you've seen around and you've got used to seeing. Those are obsolete. These are coming in very quickly. The cell phone and wireless companies are spending billions of dollars. They're racing to complete installation of the system by 2020. And that's now only 3 years away.
Verizon and AT&T tell us they'll begin deploying 5G trials in 2017. First commercial deployments they're talking about are expected in 2020.
They're fueling money into cities and private owners where the towers will be installed. They're paying them off, and they're moving so fast that there's going to be very few places that are free at all anymore. No one gave permission for this because most people don't fully understand what's happening or why it matters. They're going to click on little agreements on their cell phone for the different sites they visit, and they're going to have no idea how much is going to be taken from that. But it's clear that this is not a good bargain, and people need to be warned. They should try to oppose this in their local cities and where they can, and try to challenge these companies, because they don't want to face resistance, and they don't want a population that knows about the dangers and the risks of this technology. But the capabilities of this technology are absolutely unfathomable. Rasadeh was working with the CIA and exchanging technology and study data with the Russians back in the 60s and 70s and even further back, and he figured out scientifically, demonstratively, how non-ionizing radiation at various specific frequencies from microwaves or from other signals, how they could alter human and animal behavior. For instance, a simple 10 Hz wave could put someone into a stupor within a couple of minutes. Using neuroelectric devices that they developed by the 70s, they could put individuals or entire towns to sleep on command. They can aggravate people, they can alter their sexual preferences, they could delete their memories, they could turn on desire, they could turn on repulsion, and they could otherwise hijack someone's spontaneous and natural behavior. They could literally hijack your nervous system and your brain. And that was 30 or 40 years ago. Now things are very advanced, they're very precise, and they're very far along. There's discussions now at the Davos World Economic Forum that have broached the topic of mind reading and literal mind control. And these devices, the capability to do it is built into everything, every handheld unit, every laptop, mobile device that everyone's carrying around. And once things are fast enough with 5G, all bets are off. The constant ubiquitous connection with these next generation 5G towers, I mean, what else can you say? You either see it or you don't.
A secret basement hidden away from the world. She said I'm chasing what I can't have and what I can't do. The fortune, where no angels go. My will is broken. I'm the one that I don't wanna know. The fortune, the fortune, the fortune teller. The fortune, the fortune, the fortune teller. I saw the future with a fateful gesture of a hand. I think it's real evil. You make me do what you can't understand. The fortune, the fortune, the fortune teller. 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 And one last question. Why is happiness just smoke in the blue? Oh, fortune teller, please tell me the bloody truth.
This is the report released by the Naval Medical Research Institute, the bibliography of reported biological phenomenon or effects and clinical manifestations attributed to microwave and radio frequency radiations. This was conducted by the Naval Medical Research Institute and the National Naval Medical Center in October 4th of 1971. A second printing with revisions was released on April 20th, 1972. And it goes on to say here that more than 2,000 references on the biological responses to radio frequency and microwave radiation published up to June of 1971 are included in this bibliography. It goes on to say here, 3 supplementary listings bring the number of citations to more than 2,300. So, well over 2,000 studies, experiments, tests, reports were done on the effects of these radio frequencies and microwaves on human beings, and it was all compiled into this one report. And when we scroll down here to find out what sorts of things they were detailing were, the effects on humans psychologically and physically, this is incredibly telling. And here we see a heating of the organs, heating up the whole body, your skin, your bone marrow, the genitalia, tubular degeneration of the testicles, heating of the brain and the sinuses. It goes on and on here. Alterations in the biocurrencies of the cerebral cortex, central nervous system effects. We're talking about headaches, insomnia, restlessness, automatic nervous system effects here, ranging from fatigue, structural alterations in the synapses of the vagus nerve. Psychological disorders include something they call neurasthenia, or just generally feeling bad, just a bad feeling in general. Depression, impotence, anxiety, lack of concentration, hypochondria, dizziness, hallucinations, sleeplessness, insomnia, increased irritability, decreased appetite, loss of memory, scalp sensations, increased fatigability, chest pain, tremor of the hands. It just goes on and on. We go into changes in blood and bone marrow, cholesterol and lipids changes. We see here enzyme and other biochemical changes, to your proteins, toxins, fungus, virus inactivations, alterations in the rate of cell divisions. We have metabolic disorders, gastrointestinal disorders. This just goes on, and it just gets worse. Genetic and chromosomal changes, miscellaneous effects, changes in optical activity, loss of hair, brittleness of hair, sensations and buzzing, vibrations, pulsations and tickling about the head and the ears. This is just unbelievable what they've discovered way back in the 1970s.
Sitting in front of your television, being programmed. That's why they call it programming. This is United States patent number 6,506,148B2, dated January 14th, 2003. And this is the 10th in a series of patents by this particular man, all about manipulation of your nervous system, and in some ways remote manipulation, subliminal manipulation, and he ended with this one here, nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. And I just wanted to go over this with you because this is a thing that exists, and it existed over a decade ago, well before they made the forced switch to digital, where they can layer the signals, and if there is anything strange in that, you're not going to see the interference, right? This has to do with physiological effects that have been observed in human subjects in response to stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields pulsed with certain frequencies near half a hertz or 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. For the latter, the image pulsing may be embedded in a program material or overlaid by modulating a video stream, either as an RF signal or video signal. The image displayed on a computer monitor may be pulsed effectively by a simple computer program. For certain monitors, pulsed electromagnetic fields capable of exciting sensory resonances in nearby subjects may be generated even as the displayed images are pulsed with subliminal intensity. In other words, you don't even know they're doing it. And then he has all these lovely drawings to go with this, which are just great. Actually, I have a favorite. It's this one right here. Remote computer, internet, her computer, her monitor, her. You see that? They can do this remotely and you don't even know that it's being done to you. And there's the kids. Gotta have the kids in there. Anyway, he goes on to say that the electric field in studies by Norbert Wiener, that would be the father of cybernetics back during World War II and the Cold War, was arranged to provide a direct electrical driving of the brain. That's what this kind of stuff is based on. And he goes on to say that it's been found that indeed physiological effects can be induced in the manner by very weak electric fields if they're pulsed with a frequency near half a hertz. The observed effects, which is just the ones they had for this particular patent, include ptosis of the eyelids, which means your eyelids close and flutter, relaxation, drowsiness, the feeling of pressure at a centered spot on the lower edge of your brow, seeing moving patterns of dark purple and greenish yellow when your eyes are closed, a tonic smile, a tense feeling in your stomach, sudden loose stool, and sexual excitement, all depending upon the precise frequency used and the skin area to which this field is applied. So, you ever watch a movie and you're not really feeling it all that much? Let's say it's a romantic movie and you're not really feeling it, and something happens and the two characters are swooning and they play that swell of music, and even though you're not really feeling it and you kind of think the movie's lame, you still get emotion. We've all had moments in watching movies or different things where your emotions don't match how you really feel based on the film, and you could just say that's creative filmmaking. But when you see something like this, you gotta wonder, is it also something like this? Because they can do this. And he's saying right here they have the ability to. And if you read at the first page again, this patent is based on years worth of other patents. So it isn't like he just came up with this off the spot. He's got 10 of his own patents based on doing this kind of stuff. Then he goes on to say in the summary that the implementation of the invention is adapted to the source of video stream that drives the monitor, be it a computer program, a TV broadcast, a videotape, or a DVD. And a program written in Visual Basic is particularly suitable for use on computers that run Windows 95 or 98. That's how basic this technology is. Okay, it does not take much. They could use Visual Basic to run it on Windows 95. He's got all of his other patents, and like I said, you have everything here. Subliminal acoustic manipulation of your nervous system, manipulation of nervous systems by electric fields, magnetic excitation, pulsative manipulation. I mean, he's got it all right here. These are his 10 patents, and it ended with this one on monitors, and then he made this website. Walking around bathed in so much electromagnetic radiation right now, background, human beings have never been exposed to the level that humanity is currently being exposed to in our modern technological age. And we're carrying cell phones in our pockets, we're sitting in front of our computer monitors, we're sitting in front of our television sets, and people just don't have any idea the myriad uses that these things can be put to, all the stuff it can do. People are just blissfully ignorant. They don't know.
Voice-to-skull technology, patents, and 5G neurological manipulation machines are going to be going global sooner than you might think. Slow boil weapons of mass destruction in your backyard, across your street. They love you so much. Welcome to the new World Order, land of the ignorant, home of the repeaters. 5G is closer than you think. It's going to change entire industries. We're going to talk about how powerful 5G is, what type of band and frequency it uses that actually, well, it's about 100 times more intense than some of the technologies that are currently being used as far as a frequency level goes. And I don't know how they're going to get away with this, because if you look at the what's called absorption rates that your body is supposed to withstand, it seems to be a lot higher than current standards. So they must be tweaking that or something. But what you are looking at next to me, this is very bizarre. And I think this might link up to some of these strange occurrences where people just go crazy, like that mother that just stabbed all of her kids to death and her husband, and she's smiling about it, and she's giving the thumbs up, and she's praying to Jesus. It's just bizarre. She's all happy about it. So what you're looking at right here is actually from Wired magazine, and it says Army yanks voice-to-skull devices site. So this actually was doable in 1974, where they could send microwave signals into somebody's brain, and they would hear sounds, they would hear words, they would hear voices, they could be told what to do, where to do it. They could say, hey, this is God, I want you to go out and, like, think about what the Bible says when God supposedly tells Abraham to go sacrifice his child at the top of a mountain. Well, imagine the government having the ability to do that same thing to the masses, to being able to, like, literally manipulate entire towns, entire blocks, an entire school, an entire mall, an entire sports stadium, and put different sounds and different thoughts and different voices in people's heads. You know, they think they're talking to Jesus or an angel or the devil or something, and they could come up with scripts. They could put whatever they wanted to, go right into your mind to manipulate you and be their patsy. What are the possibilities here? Well, I mean, look at this patent once again from 74. Each vertical line is one short pulse of microwave signal at a frequency to which the human brain is sensitive. Then the brain converts the train of microwave pulses back to an audible voice. There is no conscious defense possible against the hypnosis. Then, timing of each microwave pulse is controlled by each downslope crossing of the voice wave. So this is Sharp's original 1974 method. Now, silent converted to voice FM hypnosis can be transmitted using a voice frequency modulator to generate the voice, then pulsed microwave voice to skull for distance and cover. raven1.net/hypno2s. Now, the Army's very strange web page on voice to skull weapons has been removed. It was there, and then even stranger, now it's gone. You Google it, you see the entry for it, but the website's linked. Okay, well, this is an older article, but here's what's interesting. Let's go down a little bit here. Non-lethal weapons, which include a neuroelectromagnetic device, which uses microwave transmission of sound into the skull of persons or animals by way of pulse-modulated microwave radiation and a silent sound device, which can transmit sound into the skull of person or animals. The sound modulation may be voice or audio subliminal messages. One application of V2K is use as an electronic scarecrow to frighten birds in the vicinity of airports. So they use V2K to freak out birds at airports. Well, what are they doing to you? What about the patents that I just shared with you of these boxes, these rectangular boxes that look like something that you would see on a typical cell phone tower, that are neurological manipulators? They manipulate your neurological system. And wait until I show you the frequency that this new 5G that they want to put on every street corner and hide in small cell towers the size of a box to the size of a sports stadium, directly from the belly of the beast, directly from the beast that wants to literally fry you and give you really fast Wi-Fi speeds, right? They want to kill you and give you the ability to download a library of movies in just a matter of seconds. Well, what's more important? This is the actual patent of some of the newer technologies that are used to implement a radio frequency hearing effect directly into your mind, directly into your inner ear. You can, but this right here describes how it creates this sound that then is embedded into your mind. And let me read this to you. A method of encoding an input audio signal to produce a double sideband output signal having an omega subcarrier frequency. Now let me go into this a little bit more. Here we go, summary. In accomplishing the foregoing and related object, the invention uses a modulation process with a fully suppressed carrier and pre-processing filter of the input to produce an encoded output. Where the modulation AM is employed and the pre-processor filtering is of audio speech input, ineligible subjective sound is produced when the encoded signal is demodulated by means of the RF hearing effect, so it puts it directly into your brain, bypassing any filters. The RF to acoustic demodulator thus has characteristics which permit the conversion of the RF energy input into an acoustic output. Jeez. That is just... Okay, so the invention described herein may be manufactured and used by or for the government for governmental purposes without the payment of any royalty. Radio frequency hearing effect was first noticed during World War II as a subjective click produced by pulsed radar signal. When the transmitted power is above a threshold level, below the threshold level, the click cannot be heard. Beamforming, guys. Think about this for a minute. Beamforming. Highly concentrated beams of directed energy right outside your house that you are walking in front of, that is blasting you with a directed energy beam at very high frequency levels. Wait until I get into the frequency levels. It's crazy. And they're like, but you can download stuff faster, man. It's good for you. You can download how to get yourself better on the internet quicker because you'll be frying yourself to death. Yeah. Whatever. So, I mean, it's just... People are like, I want it. Hey, you got 4G, I got 5G. I got 4 towers next to my house, man. Yeah. All right. People are stupid. And they're like, I'll pay extra for that. You've just got that 3G, son. All right. Here we go. Millimeter waves have limitations, but they are a good fit for MIMO. MIMO is a wireless system that uses multiple radios to send and receive data simultaneously. Oh, wonderful! Multiple radios next to the school that you drop your kids off at every single day, next to your work, next to the grocery store, next to the daycare, next to the hospital, next to you, your neighbors, next to grandma. They're all over. Because everybody should have the right to download the internet in a matter of a couple minutes, right? This is where it gets scary. Small cells transmit data using millimeter waves. They get their names from the narrower than average wavelength. They occupy frequencies in the 30 to 300 gigahertz range. And they want to put them all over you guys. They want them everywhere. And these big corporations, you know, that run these the telecommunications industry, they're loving it because it's a new product for them. They can sell new phones that can run faster. Their stocks go up. Consume, consume, consume. Be good little piglets. Be good little sheep. You know, Jesus wants you to be a sheep, right? You know, plastic Jesus wants you to be a sheep. I don't think the real Jesus would want you to be a sheep. But you read the Bible and Jesus is like, be a good sheep. Don't question nothing, man. I apologize. There's some good stuff in the Bible, like when Jesus says to his disciples, all these amazing things you've seen me do, you will be able to do and more. And then I bring that up to people like, no, that's not true, man. I know he said it, but he didn't mean it like that. You're inferior. You're just a little human. Don't you get sick of feeling inferior to all these gods? I mean, my goodness. It's the way that they portray it. It's like, if you're superior, do you really need to brag about it all the time? Do you really need to create an artificial construct of fear and brimstone? You can do whatever you want. Just, you have to believe in me and eat my flesh and drink my blood and pay 15%. You're good. That's it. And consume. That's all I got to do. 5G, 6G, 7G. Pretty soon it's going to be like, you're just going to walk outside and you're going to have a full-on titanium alloy suit because you're just going to get fried, literally fried from all the radio towers. So that's going to be the next industry. They're going to have another industry now where they're going to sell clothes that protect you from radiation, ionizing radiation, from high-powered microwave towers. Literally, they're just gonna terraform the planet by microwaving everything. Now, combine these freaking towers, you guys. This is where it gets crazy. Combine these towers with all the nanoparticulates, with all the chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injections. Combine it with all of that, and then what does it do to you? What does it do to the conscious? What does it do to the planet? What does it do to the physical body? What does it do to anything that's organic? Let me repeat the highly concentrated beam that they want to direct into your house, into your brain. Let me repeat this. The occupy frequency is from 30 to 300 gigahertz. 30 to 300 gigahertz. How does that not make people that are building these things a little bit nervous? Are they that ignorant? Are they that stupid? Really? I mean, are they that stupid? Because if they knew what it was doing, what it's going to do to them, I think they might avoid the money that they're going to get and look at another alternative. I'm just saying 30 to 300 gigahertz range is beyond stupid. Now, small cells are miniature cell phone towers that can be placed in inconspicuous places like light poles, roofs of buildings. They don't require much power like full-size towers. They perform better when they're clustered together, and 5G brings about more improvements. We're both seeing the same things. I'm just seeing it be in dire straits. He's looking at it as there is no, technology is the ultimate will to him. That is his will. That's his purpose, to just push the boundaries as far as he can. And in doing so, this consciousness he sees being so powerful that it'll take entire swaths of space and energy. Like the Vedic stuff, like in the Rig Vedas, these weapons that could destroy time and space and the earth. So it has us build everything for it, connects everybody to everything so it can tap into anybody at any time it wants to that might be a threat to its hegemony. And then it could drop the ultimate hammer. The slow boil until the ultimate hammer. Because right now, there's enough stuff on this planet to completely annihilate all life on this planet multiple times over. Now, maybe it could be somewhat of it would have to use us as an energy source, so it wouldn't want to take us all out because it had to work with us. But the serpent archons that have to work through blood, that have to work through humans, they're looking for a way to create a vessel that they don't need us anymore, because they don't want to deal with divine spark. They don't want to deal with freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. That's what they don't have. They don't have freedom of expression. They don't have freedom of speech. They're a part of a hive mind, literally. And they have to do things in order to survive. And we are their vessel. And some people more than others. Now, the 5G stuff here, when you imagine there being literally no escape in the city of these they don't have a huge radius, but the radius that they have, the area that they emit these 330 to 300 gigahertz. Let me put it to you this way. When 2.4 gigahertz phones came out, that was a big deal, because the 2.4 gigahertz phones emits a ton of wattage that you don't need to have next to your head. Now, if it's a block down the street, you're going to be fine. But if you've constantly got all this and you've got a weak immune system already anyway, and it's not good for you, constantly bombarding you with that, what is that going to do to the physical body? What are people going to start just dropping like flies? And then what happens if they decide to do full-on clampdown mode? Just full-on, tweak it up a little bit, change the vibration a little bit, the entire grid, the entire network, so people literally start getting pissed off.
Charlotte Holmgren has a bedroom view that nearly everyone in Little Silver, New Jersey is talking about. Do you know what that is?
Tower.
This cell tower is just 120 feet from her home.
I'm scared to death that she's going to wake up with cancer or reproductive issues.
Charlotte's mother, Alicia Holmgren, says the 95-foot structure was built within a week in May, smack in the middle of town, with seemingly no warning to residents.
Homeowners in one Long Island town are preparing for a fight. Two dozen cell phone repeaters installed in front of their homes. It was done legally, but residents say they were never told that it was happening. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff reports now from Woodbury.
The view from Denise Tufano's Woodbury home abruptly changed last month, towering on her front lawn a cell phone repeater.
I could not believe this was actually happening. I said, how could the town permit this? How could they do this to us?
She and Woodbury neighbors fuming over the placement of 22 cell repeaters for Verizon in front of homes on what's technically public property without notice or compensation.
You couldn't give me $10 million for this, okay? There are potential health risks to these. They are aesthetically not pleasing. There's also the devaluation of our home properties.
5G technology promises faster service, but the jury is out on constant exposure to its radio frequency radiation. .5G technology promises faster service, but the jury is out on constant exposure to its radio frequency radiation.
Your cell phone you use, you put down. Microwave you use, you stop. This is constant bombardment, and we don't know what is the long-term effects.
Residents say their cell service was good enough.
Put them in a commercial area. We don't need it. And you know what? We should have at least been asked. I don't think the health of my children is as important as my cell phone service.
When CBS 2 asked the town of Oyster-based supervisor why here, he showed up at this protest and was peppered with residents' demands.
They have no place in front of homes in residential neighborhoods.
Now, what about the ones that are already up? The ones that
Excuse me.
New to the Post, Joseph Saladino says the town's hands are tied by federal rules that cut local governments out. Town Supervisor Saladino vows to do everything in his power to get these taken down and prevent new ones from going up in front of homes In his power, the operative words. In Woodbury, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
Verizon tells CBS 2 to keep up with the explosive growth. They need the antennas closer to where people are trying to connect so that they will get better coverage. They claim that the small cells have exposure levels similar to baby monitors and microwave ovens.
California City is fighting back at a proposed law that is moving quickly through the legislature. They say it would allow phone companies to put up new antennas in your neighborhood, whether you like it or not. KPX5's Phil Matier in Walnut Creek. And Phil, today you heard some of the opposition in Sacramento, right?
That's right, and a lot of it is based on what you see around us here in Walnut Creek. You're walking down the street in the downtown of your little town, and you maybe one day will look up at a street lamp like this, and sitting on top of it is something totally unexpected. A cell phone antenna. Here's the story.
5G wireless has the potential to be a game changer.
But to pave the way for that game change, telecom companies need to put up between 30,000 and 50,000 of these small cell antennas, including several likely in your town over the next 5 years, but with only limited local say.
Local neighborhoods would be seeing something the size of a refrigerator showing up on a street pole, and they could say nothing to stop it.
A library, a school.
On traffic signals, on light poles. This would give the companies free rein to install these small cells on any public infrastructure, and we would have no ability to say no.
We're also talking about an industry that is a big player in California politics. In the 2016 election cycle, telecommunication companies contribute over $3 million to both California Democrats and Republicans that are now deciding on this bill, which, by the way, shot through committee on a 6-1 vote with 2 abstentions. It's going to be a tug of war, but it looks like they're going to win, so it's only a matter of time when we're going to be seeing these. By the way, you'll be able to check it all out on the internet because they're going to make that faster as well. In Walnut Creek, Phil Matier, KPIX5. Back to you guys.
Cell tower will go up in Appleton. A judge ruled in favor of the company last week, but the city of Appleton and nearby neighbors are not happy with that decision. Fox 11's Alexa Santos has this Fox 11 follow-up.
It just doesn't belong there.
Neighbors near a proposed Verizon cell tower in Appleton are disappointed with the judge's decision to allow the company to build.
At the end of the day, nobody should be allowed to build a cell tower that close to a residential area.
The city of Appleton tried to stop it. The Common Council denied the permit for constructing the tower because of concerns from neighbors about safety and loss of property values.
They came forward and they really laid out their case. It's a pretty powerful case. So council said, no. See what happens. We'll take our chances.
In August, Verizon sued the city of Appleton over that decision. Outagamie County Judge Nancy Krieger ruled in favor of Verizon's claim that Appleton didn't provide enough evidence to support that permit denial, and those grounds are not valid for denying a permit.
We're definitely pleased with the outcome, and for us it really comes down to public safety. And for us it really comes down to public safety.
People living near St. Joseph's Church on Green Bay's south side are voicing their concerns, protesting this morning against a cell phone tower that will be built on church grounds. Protesters of this tower say there are several reasons they do not want the tower to be built there, including what they say are health risks, lowering the value of their property, and messing with televisions and radios on their homes. A staff member of the Quad Parishes told us some of the reasons the church agreed to having the cell phone tower on its property, including financial benefits.
Provide better cell phone coverage, and nowadays everybody has a cell phone, so that's one of the main things. It will be an evangelization tool for us. It's going to be a clock tower, and it will have our church name on all 4 sides, a cross on the top lit up so that people will know that there's a church here.
Robert, people who live in the Sunset Heights Historic District say the 60-foot tall tower will be an eyesore. They say it doesn't belong in their community. The president of the Sunset Heights Neighborhood Improvement Association, Cito Negron, says the tower and the city is currently considering whether it wants to let Crown Castle build that tower for Verizon Wireless. These are some artistic renderings of what that tower could look like. Negron says that the company offered designs that would look like a boutonniere structure to disguise the tower so it would resemble a UTEP design. But some of the residents I spoke with tonight say that's not enough.
Now, they talked about disguising it to look like a UTIP tower, you know? But this is not UTIP. This is Sunset Heights. If they want to put that over there by UTIP, you know, that's their decision.
It's not consistent with the integrity of the historic nature of the neighborhood.
It might not be to the benefit of anybody but the cell carrier and the property owner. It's definitely not to the benefit of the neighborhood.
Aside from being an eyesore, Negron tells me that the company has to get special permission to build that tower in that area because it's so close to some houses. Tonight, Sunset Heights residents met at Hal Marcus Gallery to discuss their options. Some have sent letters to the city's planning commission to ask for another area to be chosen for that tower. The city's planning commission is set to hear the cell phone tower proposal tomorrow afternoon. Reporting live, Megan Lopez, KFOX 14 News.
Tempers seemed to flare at the county school board meeting. This as board members heard from the public about putting up a cell tower on the grounds of Shadyside Elementary School.
You are the deciders. The process started here, the process tracks here, the process ends here.
Those opposed to the cell tower, some of them parents, say they have long-term health concerns. They were counting on the board to take action by casting a vote, even though it was only a review item.
As board members, please protect our children. We absolutely need you today to be brave.
Even as both sides lined up to be heard, it was evident there was still plenty of frustration. That's when the board had to call in security.
It's time for you to leave.
Thank you, I will, thank you.
There was public support for the Shadyside cell tower from residents who tried to convince the board of the benefits.
With the current storms brewing in the Atlantic this week, I think about safety. Will my cell phone work if I call for help? I think about safety. Will my cell phone work if I call for help or try to let my family know that I'm okay?
Please do not let the financial agenda of these small few in our community bully this board into backing out of this plan.
One board member called for a vote on the issue, even though he realized the item was only up for review.
Motion fails at this time.
That said, the cell tower proposal, now out of the hands of the school board, awaits an official permit. Now, looking beyond Shadyside, there are two other pending cell phone tower proposals, one of them on the grounds of school board headquarters. So what's the financial benefit? Last year, the school system collected a little more than $81,000. Live in the studio, Tim Tootin, WBAL, TV 11 News.
Of all the places in Shadyside, why are you trying to put a cell phone tower in my kid's playground? There's like 1,000 other places you can put a cell phone tower.
This is ground zero for the best possible opportunity to create. I understand, but the point I'm making is this: you're asking why I can't go somewhere else, right? You're asking why can't I go like a mile away or 2 miles away? The answer is this is the best place to fill the hole in the network. You're asking why can't I go like a mile away or 2 miles away? The answer is this is the best place to fill the hole in the network.
Really? There's really everywhere else in Shadyside. You're trying to tell me everywhere else in Shadyside you can't get more than 200 feet from a building or somebody's property line or whatever. That's what you're trying to tell me?
What I'm saying.
And will you be guaranteed, will we be guaranteed that the school is, that the cell tower is safe for us kids and we won't get some sort of cancer or anything like that? Because I don't want cancer.
What grade are you in?
What?
What grade are you in?
5th.
You're in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going into 5th.
When my son was 9 years old, in the 3rd grade, he was diagnosed with leukemia. He went to a school where there was a cell tower within 300 or 400 feet from his elementary school, his Forest Hill Elementary School in Fairfax County. So if there's anyone that can understand your concern, it's me. Because I'm a parent of a child who had cancer and survived cancer. And I can tell you that there is no credible evidence to demonstrate that my son got cancer from that cell tower.
Chances are every single person watching this video has one of these either in their pocket or in their hands right now. There's also a really good chance that you are completely unaware of the effects that these devices are having on your psyche and on you physically, and that's by design. So in today's video, we're going to lay out the truth about smartphones and wireless warfare. We're going to be looking at a declassified military document that details the effects and the clinical manifestations of microwaves and radio frequency radioactivity on human beings. But before we do, let's take a look at what our devices say today about what is acceptable and not acceptable exposure. Now we're going to be doing this on an iPhone 6 Plus. To reduce exposure to RF energy, use a hands-free option such as the built-in speakerphone, the supplied headphones, or other similar accessories. Carry iPhones at least 5 millimeters away from your body to ensure exposure levels remain at or below the as-tested levels. And it also goes on to say here that cases with metal parts may change the RF performance of the device, including its compliance with RF exposure and guidelines in a manner that have not been tested or certified. So it seems that they are well aware of the effects that this can potentially have physically on human beings, because where do people hold these phones when they're talking? Against their head, or they're either directly right in their pocket, and when they're right here in their pocket, they're essentially right beside your genitals. If you're male, they're right beside your testicles. If you're female, they're cooking your ovaries. And in fact, the men who are responsible for the creation of these devices knew exactly what was going on, hence why men like Steve Jobs would not allow his children to use iPads or iPhones. Bill Gates is also notoriously known to keep his children at a safe distance away from using these devices. So clearly they know something that you don't. And perhaps they were privy to this report that details precisely what these frequencies do to us psychologically and physically. More lonely, fewer friends, less sex, have smartphones destroyed a generation. And in it, they point out that there has been a massive change to teenagers and millennials in general with the advent of smartphones. There is compelling evidence that the devices we place in young people's hands are having profound effects on their lives and making them seriously unhappy. You might expect that teens spend so much time in these new spaces because it makes them happy, but most data suggests that it does not. The results could not be clearer. Teens who spend more time than average on screen activities are more likely to be unhappy, and those who spend more time than average on non-screen activities are more likely to be happy. There's not a single exception. All screen activities are linked to less happiness. It goes on to point out that today teens are less likely to date. These charts showing how the constant presence of the internet, particularly social media, is changing the behavior and attitudes of today's teens. They are no longer hanging out with their friends. They're not in any kind of a rush to learn how to drive. There's less dating and therefore less sex or less general interactions with humans in general. They're more likely to feel lonely. They're less likely to get enough sleep, especially when you consider the tech world's ideas for the future of cell phones, how they want to implement holograms and what's now called augmented reality, where you would use the phone peering through it here in real life to enhance your experience right here in reality. And what's even scarier is that people born after 1995 don't even know what life is like without these devices. They've been completely surrounded by them their entire lives. And the unfortunate reality is it's become extremely difficult to rid yourself of RF exposure in today's world.